Avon Lake, and it stretches all the way through Westlake Bay Village down to North Olmsted. You got Brook Park, you got the airport in here, you got Lakewood, all the way over to just south of downtown Cleveland. Garfield Heights is just on the outside of it, Independence just on the outside of it, but it does include Parma. We're going to watch this as it slides on in here. There's more storms behind it. We'll take a little wider view, and this is sort of unfolding exactly as planned, realistically. Watching this roll into this super warm and steamy air, that's why the severe thunderstorm watch was issued a couple hours ago. And watching this line roll in here. The good news is the warning from this mess right here has faded, so that rotation has shut down, but there's still severe thunderstorm warnings on the leading edge, so the gust potential, the 60+ mile per hour wind gust potential is there. You've got this little line, which is an outflow boundary, and that tends to be indicative of some big straight line winds, of course, but it also tends to be something that could spark up another couple more storms out ahead of it. But this is the main threat right here. This is the tornado warning, and we've been watching this try to come across the lake, and it's kind of, you know, Phil and I were talking about it just before it was issued. We're like, as soon as these storms get closer to land, they're absolutely going to spin. We've seen it over and over, time and time again, and sure enough, we get that little spin with that right there as well. This up here could easily do the same thing. So this is your shear rate. This shows us how much kind of spin we're getting inside of these storms here. So lines like this, you bet, once they roll on through, we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more of that coming along. So this is just our first of what could be several more tornado warnings we get over the next probably hour. The good news is, back behind it, things settle down quite a bit. Phil, if you want to take over for a second here, I'm going to pull up and go see if we have some tower cams. Unless you want to do that, you can check out some tower cams around Lorain.
Yeah, I think we got some tower cams.
We can check out our Hilton cam.
Let's take a look at our Hilton cam. Not really showing a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to pick it out. Looks like it's pretty rain wrapped, if anything, you know what I mean? So we've got a lot of rain, some heavy rain out there.
So Lorain County, not really showing a lot, at least at the moment. A few
just on the backside.
Rain showers moving into there, but definitely can take a look at more of those cameras in the next few seconds here. Let me get our controller up.
Phil, you have access to the remotes, the ODOT remotes?
Yes, I do. I just need to get into that.
Okay. In Westlake, we've got an ODOT pulled up at Columbia Road at 90. So
get that, and
that's going to be some
second here.
Torrential rain out there. And that's where we were just talking about the power outages, and we had those 70 mile per hour
there's
winds.
I-90.
So that is 90 at Columbia right there. So
I think it's not even working right now. It is down. So that was as of a few minutes. It was
3:53. So about a minute ago. So. Yeah, that's the trend. That's all sliding through. Let's jump back over to our reflectivity, and we'll kind of track this out and zoom back in on that tornado warning, and we can see what we have going on here. So, yeah, this is what we're going to be watching here. We've got Westlake. There's Bay Village. That camera was here's 90 that comes right on through. Kind of hard to make out there with all the different colors out there, but again, yeah, here's 90 just north of Westlake, between Westlake and Bay Village. So that camera was right there at Columbia. You've got Crocker as well. Still some heavy rain on the backside, but that pink you're seeing mixed in with that is the tornado warning. So radar indicated. I haven't had any reports of this on the ground yet, but it happens quick. We'll see these out over the lake, and as soon as you get the friction of the land that works in there as well, it tends to kind of to spin up something like what we have going on right now. So
Lorain is no longer under that warning. Lorain has been canceled, so it's just
been trimmed.
Yep, so we just have the warning now for Cuyahoga County, and that still goes through about 4:30.
Okay.
We do not have any confirmation. Potential for some hail, quarter inch or bigger as well, and we are looking at some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds associated with this outside of that tornado threat. So definitely some damaging potential across western Cuyahoga. Westlake certainly inundated with the storm, Bay Village as well.
Head on a little bit farther north. You see this? This is a good indication that you're getting a little bit of a wrapping on the backside of that as well. If we can show the velocity in there, we might see a little bit of a couplet as well. You're seeing it in right there and out right there. So that's another potential. So potential for a huge water spout, a thunderstorm-related water spout, right? So this is going to be the potential for a tornado. It's not just going to fizzle out once it gets closer to land. So that's unobstructed over the water. We're going to see that come right on through here. It's still quite a ways away, But those things like that, that's what we're watching. That's what this looked like just north of Lorain about 30, 45 minutes ago. And that's what when it comes on shore, eventually they tend to fade away. But when they're along the line, along the lake shore right there, they are pretty strong. Let's zoom back in on here. Actually, I'm going to run over here really quickly and see if I can pull up Lorain on my phone here. I don't know that we have Lorain's radar. It might give us a little better view.
We can get Lorain's radar in just a sec here. Let's get the level. Okay,
That's it. That's shown right there. So that will be, let's click the velocity. And
yeah, that's definitely going to show a little bit more.
So sometimes when these storms get close to the radars, it just gets it's called a cone of silence. You look straight up over the radar, you can't really see what's going on. So we can pull up Lorain's radar and get a little better look of it at it as it's coming through. And you can see the winds have definitely backed off, big time backed off in Lorain County. And that's why things are going to start to improve there. But let's zoom in a little bit and see if we can see where we're picking up maybe some kind of red and green close to itself. This is going to be toward the radar and this is going to be away. So but the potential is still there. It's not as tight as it was earlier, but it's still something we need to very closely monitor.
And we do have some imagery out of I-90 at State Route 2 around Detroit.
Okay, so that's
coming down in buckets.
Yeah, that's still there in Westlake. So look at that, sheets of rain coming down.
And traffic is coming to a standstill, especially on 90 there.
Yeah, visibility is going to be an issue ponding on the roads in addition to the winds that are gusting, like we just showed you, 60 to 70 miles per hour. So embedded in that near zero visibility, you've got debris potentially flying around. So that's a big concern. That's heading right toward downtown Cleveland. It's heading eventually out of Westlake into Rocky River, into Lakewood. I mean, that's the path of this as it's rolling through. Just got another little update there.
There's our latest scan. And not a definite couplet by any stretch, but it's definitely indication of some rotation. And that warning kind of keeping things a little bit more towards the northern half of Cuyahoga County along Route 6, just to the west of Lakewood. Rockport certainly in through the strongest of those winds right now. Bay Village beginning to see some signs of at least quieting down a little bit, but still some gusty winds out that way. But the main focus certainly will be along Route 6, just west of Lakewood, State Route 237 there, Parkview, Fairview Park, Shortline Junction, and just to the west of downtown Cleveland. A lot more of those stronger winds continuing to move eastward over the next half hour or so. So a little before 4 o'clock right now. We still have that tornado warning till about 4:30, and we also have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings now issued for our extreme eastern counties right now in through Lake, Cuyahoga, and Ashtabula, and that now goes through about 5:15. This line basically all the way from parts of Ontario, Canada, down into Lake Erie, but the strongest certainly has been at least just north of downtown Cleveland over the last half hour, 45 minutes. And these storms extend all the way westward towards the Fremont and into northwestern Ohio. And we're still looking at maybe a couple of storms popping ahead of it. That is not technically severe right now in Trumbull County as well as into Portage County. But the storms just to the north and west of Greater Cleveland, very, very strong. And we have that tornado warning in play to about 4:30 for Cuyahoga County. And basically the I-77 corridor and points west, that tornado warning still in play. So if you're out and about, make sure you pull off to the side of the road as the rain has just become just horrendous
right?
in our western half of the county.
Do you mind, I just pulled up on another little radar, do you mind pulling in right here just near Rocky River and kind of put this in motion? You see how it sort of has a little bit of a dry push in there, right in there. This is slowly pulling this way and this is slowly pulling on the backside. So we may still have that rotation right there along the lake shore. It's kind of tough to see with what we have going on here, but you can see that is a push of some warm, wet air pushing around, kind of squeeze in a little bit of that. So whatever we do see, I don't want you to be outside looking for this. When we're talking about not being able to get reports or not seeing or not having any reports, this is a dangerous situation. I don't want you outside taking pictures or anything like that. If you're in the path of this is time to stay indoors, of course, get away from the windows, get to the lowest level of whatever you're in. and take your tornado safety position. Make sure, I mean, I know we're going to be out and about. This is Lakewood, Cam's Corners, everybody out ahead of it. Cadell, back toward downtown Cleveland. You're in this, downtown Cleveland's not, but you're in this warning. I want you to get to your safety, your tornado safety position in your house or wherever you are, and we're going to watch this as it rolls on through here. So that's essentially kind of what we're looking at there. It gets a little disturbed from the radar being so close, but this is a very good sign, or a very strong indication that it's pulling some air. It's pulling some drier air, some warm, dry air in with that as well.
And we have some reports of power outages now in Avon Lake.
Okay, Avon Lake for sure. There's our next scan. Continues to show that you get these little notches like this, and those are essentially like little inflows that tend to feed these lines of thunderstorms. Man, that's a lot of wind. In considering that it is so close to the radar, this isn't up into the storm. These are surface level 60 to 65, almost 70 mile per hour winds rolling through there. So yeah, without a doubt, we're going to see more power outages. We're going to see more debris, and we haven't even really talked much about the hail potential, because that is there. Look at that. So Phil, why don't you explain that product? That's the Barron button.
That's our Barron button, which is a great product that we use to figure out exactly where the potential for some hail would be occurring. So the purples are indication of a little bit more hail. So the light to moderate purple kind of brings a little bit more of that inch to maybe inch and a half hail. The darker the color, the more dark black into the white indicates between about 2 and 3, if not higher. So right now we're looking at estimations of maybe about an inch hail with some of these returns just to the north of Westlake along Route 6. So a lot of this is over open water, so that is good news, but still, inch hail about the size of a quarter is what we consider severe. It can do damage, especially to plants, cars, anything outside could potentially be damaged, and this is slowly making its way southward over the next half hour or so. We still have that tornado warning in place through about 4:30 this afternoon for the western half of Cuyahoga County. It does include Westlake, North Olmsted, Brooklyn, Parma, so essentially I-77 and points west. Not necessarily including Strongsville, but you're looking at a lot more of that potential of some damaging winds slowly making its way through. And you mentioned the cone of silence, Trent, with the radar. You can see that right now.
You're seeing it right there. Moving just to it's at the airport. It's at Hopkins, right? So it can't shoot straight upwards. That radar beam only goes out and tells us where things are. And that's why we can use that Lorain County radar. And that gives us, it fills in that cone of silence. If you can put this in motion, this really shows a good kind of, clear that out of there, but it shows us a good indication of what we're seeing with this activity. And that's really the reason why the National Weather Service thought this was serious enough to issue a warning for it, and totally agree with their thinking. And that's the reason we're still on the air, to be honest with you. If we didn't see the potential danger in here, then we'd send you back to, the regular, scheduled programming. But this is a dangerous situation. In addition to the potential for a tornado in there, you've got winds that are well over 60 miles per hour. So debris, power outages, trees coming down, a lot of lightning with this as well.
Let's check out that lightning. I'm sure that's probably at least getting...
We're going to see a lot. That inflow has just pulled off a little bit, Phil. Sorry, I get focused on this, but see that little ball right there, that inflow right there? That's going to be where we have that. I would not be surprised if this tornado warning gets extended and includes downtown Cleveland all the way up to maybe Euclid because of that right there. You see that inflow right there? It's a ton of wind with that also. Not showing a whole lot on the velocity, but it is definitely showing up on the reflectivity. So that's something we're going to keep a very close eye on. Brook Park, Brooklyn, Parma, Lakewood, if you're not already there, I want you to get to your basement. If you don't have a basement, get to the lowest level. Get to a bathroom or a closet, something without windows or something with the smallest amount of windows, and crouch down. Get down and just kind of wait this one out, because afterwards, like Lorain County, you're out of it now, right? You're safe. You've got heavy rain, a lot of lightning. But the threat, the damage threat, the wind threat, the tornado threat, that's pretty much over. It's right along the Cuyahoga County line. So Lindale, Parma, all the way, honestly, even Independence, Maple Heights, Beechwood, I want you to pay very close attention to where this is going. This, again, right here is what we're watching. And as that tries to roll onshore, that's going to be our big focus. It's gusting out south of that, meaning the storm has built up so much over the lake, it's sort of collapsing itself down. And this is where we're seeing some incredible amounts of wind, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, and it's rolling on through. All right, so Phil put a track right here on the actual center of that storm there, and it puts it in, what time is it now? It
About 5 after 4.
4:05. So within the next 8 minutes, it puts it near downtown Cleveland. Newburgh Heights, 5 minutes after that. 4:20 at about Cuyahoga Heights, East Cleveland just after that. And you can pick out your town. I don't have to, read it, town by town. You can pick out where you live. You live in Valley View, just before 4:30. It's time. You've got less than 30 minutes to get to where you need to go before this storm rolls in. All right. So let's clear that off here.
Let's show the Hilton
picture.
cam. Trent, we got some big-time rain coming into downtown Cleveland right now. And
Okay.
if I could find that quickly here.
It is News 5 Employee Appreciation Day, so we've got the taco truck that already ran outside just before we got on air, told them to put their tent, their tacos, and everything away, pack everything up. It's time now, right? There's that wall coming in. Look at that. Edgewater is out there somewhere. So that's some big-time rain coming our way. And again, this is where we were looking for, kind of where we were seeing that inflow, Phil, that little notch, that little dry air trying to roll in on the radar. So you can't see it. Like I told you before, if you're trying to look at something, it's going to be totally wrapped up in this rain. This isn't like something you're going to see like on the movies that are coming out by any means. This isn't like out in the plains where you're going to see this beautiful looking, picture perfect textbook tornado. This is going to be, if anything you see, it's going to be completely rain wrapped. It's not going to be on the good parts of anything. It's really just going to be something that we got to watch for damage, right? We're looking at it with our radar here. What Phil pulled up there was kind of a dual pole product we have that kind of helps us see what's going on.
There's a couple of reports from the National Weather Service that could be some debris signatures on the east side of Parma Heights.
Okay, that's really where we were gusting out. We were talking about it gusting out there. Man, it just looks like a mess, right?
Yeah.
Let's jump over to reflectivity, and that'll give us a better idea of kind of what we're seeing here. That's that leading edge of that gusting out there. Parma Heights, Brooklyn, Shortline Junction, Cam's Corner right there. That's essentially what we're watching, the leading edge of that. I still think the biggest focus is going to be just on the northern side. Look at that. You can see just on the northern side of this warning as it rolls through. So our camera was right here at the Hilton, looking toward that just rain shield coming in.
That has gotten worse, Trent.
And here it is.
That has gotten worse.
Look at the raindrops going up the lens. You've got some incredibly strong wind with that as well. All right, so heavy rain, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Haven't heard much about the hail. Haven't seen many reports of the hail either. But we're going to get on the potential for that, especially in a couple areas later on this evening, like later afternoon once this tornado threat pretty much shuts down. But anytime you get some rotating thunderstorms like this, you've got the threat out there.
And we have warnings now for Summit County all the way up to Ashtabula, Lake Cuyahoga County, and these warnings are now going through.
That's everybody.
Pretty much everyone.
That's the entire state of Ohio, all the way to Pennsylvania, stretching all the way back. That's the entire viewing area along this line. That stretches all the way out of our viewing area. That's widespread. The entire edge of this. That's through Findlay. Does that go all the way to the state line? Does that go?
Yeah. Just about one county over.
One county away from a statewide severe thunderstorm warning. I don't know that I've seen that. That's crazy. All right, so here it is. There's that line. Here it is coming onshore. Hasn't happened much in Painesville, Lake Cuyahoga, or Ashtabula counties, but it's coming in. You've got it turning a little bit here, and that's where we're going to see a very broad sort of circulation right there, and that's why look at the wind coming around the backside of that. Anytime you're seeing blue on our radar, that's our velocity. Anytime our velocity is showing blue, that's the potential for damage. That's on the green side. Once you look at the red side there, we're looking at the brighter, you'll see like these pink colors out there. When the red turns to pink, that's the opposite direction essentially. So we're looking for that close to each other. Big potential for some rotation. Without a doubt, we've got at least the potential for water spouts on Lake Erie.
Yeah, that's 63 mile an hour estimations right there.
And that's into it.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Man, so that's pulling in a lot of energy coming our way. We're going to watch this very closely. We've been watching it all afternoon. I've been giving you updates on Facebook.
That tornado
Instagram,
warning has been
Twitter.
expanded to include now northern Summit County.
Okay, so it
and we have a confirmed tornado warning
Confirmed. That means it's confirmed on the ground, confirmed damage from that. So there it is. Let's zoom in on it right there near Parma. We were talking about the potential with the National Weather Service saying they had debris signatures. That's a ball, kind of like what we're looking for. So we're going to watch things like this. You see that little bit of dry air trying to work in there? That's the radar indicating that you've got that push out and that pull inward. There it is. Big time winds. That's got to be 70 or 80 mile per hour winds there if we can click right on that.
Nearly 70.
70 mile per hour winds. Those pink numbers or pink colors are definitely some strong winds. All right, so confirmed. That means I want you, if you live anywhere in this box here, and notice it's filled in, that means it's confirmed. It's a little different, right? It's a little more, we know, a little more certainty, a little more, confirmation with that. If you are in Parma, I still want you to have your TV up as loud as it can go. I still want you to blast that volume so you can hear what's going on. We're probably streaming this, I'm pretty sure, on Facebook and on news5cleveland.com. So make sure you're taking your devices with you. Make sure you're listening to us and getting some information. But I want you, Broadview Heights, Independence, Maple Heights, I told you to watch this system. Now's the time. Now's the time as you're trying to get and find your safety position. Keep the TV on, crank the volume up, make sure you can hear what's going on. We'll let you know when the coast is clear. Westlake, North Olmsted, Berea, Lindale, you're on the back side. The tornado threat is over for you, but the strong, damaging wind threat is not yet over. So even though that warning has been trimmed and does not include Berea, does not include Lindale, does not include Bay Village, Avon, North Olmsted, or Westlake, see that blue out there? That is still 60+ mile per hour wind. So trees can still come down. Damage can still happen from that, just from straight line winds. It's not only a tornado threat. Here's that bright color pushing even closer to Independence there. Is this storm relative velocity?
This is base velocity. We can go to storm relative right now.
Let's relative and jump into this. And we're going to look for red and green close to each other. And sort of, it's so tough with the radar being so close to it. But Seven Hills, Brooklyn Heights, Independence, Brecksville, Valley View. I want you to be in your tornado safety position. That includes Bedford Heights, Bedford, Walton Hills. Anybody in this colored in pink area here, I want you to be in your tornado safety position. We're going to watch this roll through here.
And then the other couplet just to the north of that is also becoming more of an issue.
A little closer to land.
Yep.
So we're going to watch that very closely as well. Like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of these tornado warnings issued kind of up that north coast off towards the east. Would you mind putting a track on this Parma? Because we know that's confirmed. Okay. We've got confirmed damage with that. Let's see if we can zoom in on that so we have a timer on the, maybe just do like the whole leading, the squall line leading edge. It's moving at about 30 to 35 straight off towards the southeast. And that'll give us a kind of a blanket timeline of when you can expect this line to roll in there. Perfect. All right, Garfield Heights now, of course, Brooklyn Heights within the next minute or so. Again, it's 4:13, so within the next couple minutes, Valley View, Shaker Heights, Maple Heights, Brecksville, I want you in your safe spot. You've got maybe 5 minutes if you're, Bedford, Beechwood, North Randall. You've got maybe 5 minutes, but that's time. There's a little lag with some of this radar data, so don't wait. You've got your warning here with this. Woodmere, you've got it at 4:21. I want you to get to your tornado safety spot.
Trent, speaking of lag, when they're watching online, there's a few second delay as well.
At least,
if not a minute. So
Absolutely.
Take that into precaution. Make sure that you're able to get to your safe space as quickly as possible, as these storms are meaning business late this afternoon. So the couplet National Weather Service is a little bit less concerned about in through the Parma region. It is showing signs of weakening according to the National Weather Service, so that is some good news. But the one off the shore of Euclid is certainly causing some more concern right now. Yeah,
that's what we've been talking about. So we're going to see that. We're going to watch that for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they issue a
Burke Lakefront just reported a 66 mile per hour wind gust.
Yikes, and it's not even all the way to Burke yet. So that's what those winds wrapping in there are going to do. So 60 plus, that is damaging wind. It takes 58 or more, 58 miles per hour or more for damage. That's the criteria.
And rainfall rates just west of here around Findlay into Westview between 1.5 inches and 2 inches.
What is that?
1.5 to 2 inches of rainfall over the last hour towards our western.
Believe it. We saw it with that camera in Westlake. Some heavy, just sheets of rain.
So if we take a look at the Hilton cam right now, that is I think the rain is falling up
Yeah.
at some point there.
That's that wind.
Yeah.
Big time wind. Do we have any other cameras around? I know the rain probably doesn't show a whole lot anymore. I know we've got Cleveland Brown Stadium. I know we've got our silo cam as well. We've got a lot of cameras around Cleveland. We've got our silo cam.
Silo cam right
there
now
we go.
is definitely.
Look at the sheets just coming in from the south, or from the north rather. So that's that wind coming in off of the lake, just blowing waves of rain across. So visibility, huge concern as you're trying to drive around. It's 4:15, so that evening commute's getting going. You've got visibility issues, you've got wind issues, you've got the potential for hail, and it's that tornado warning. That's why we're on the air right now. And like Phil just told us, it has been extended to include northern Summit County. Let's dive back into it. We'll get back into that couplet, or that potential up over the lake in a second here. I want to stay with this. If you're just now tuning in, this is a confirmed tornado warning, meaning we have confirmed damage or we have a spotter sighting of a tornado. We have confirmed on radar, with the potential for some debris from that we've been seeing as well. And right there, we're going to kind of look for a little kind of circulations with this radar. It may look like a mess, but if we zoom in on it, velocity not showing much. It's just so close to the radar, and it's going to get kind of muffled with being on the other side of all this rain. But on the leading edge, you can really see there's some strong wind out ahead of it, and then there is that. Let's zoom in just north of Independence. You're going to see that's pulling down a little bit. That's pulling in a little bit of that drier air, and that may potentially be what we're looking at, just pushing through Seven Hills. If you're back in Brooklyn, back in Parma, the threat is really shutting down for tornado damage, but that straight line wind damage is still going to be there. Remember, you're still under that severe thunderstorm warning.
Reports at Burke of an 80-mile-an-hour gust.
At Burke?
At Burke.
80.
80 miles an hour.
Told you, it wasn't even there yet. So there's that big wind coming around on the back side of that storm. So what happens is these storms, they just build 50, 60,000 feet up into the air, higher than planes fly, right? Commercial airliners, 30,000 feet. So we're up there, the jet stream's up there, and what they do is they form a wall like this. Jet stream goes from west to east most of the time. It mixes it down and it pushes that strong wind right to the surface. So you're going to get situations like this where you get that huge bow, and what it is it's just pushing. That jet stream is coming down and just pushing that straight forward. So we're getting in on that wind damage. Big time wind damage, and sometimes you can get these little spin ups like that. So we've been tracking this well since it was offshore, watching it come closer, and then as soon as it became a danger to anybody on land, on shore, not on the lake of course, but as soon as it became a danger on land, on shore, we broke into TV.
I want to say probably half of our viewing are under severe thunderstorm warning right now. All the way down to Worcester, Mansfield, Ashland.
Yeah, they just spread it. That's widespread. That's everybody essentially, except for Seneca, Ottawa, parts of Sandusky County might not be in a warning, but that is. So that's in addition to that tornado threat that we have tracking through Cuyahoga County, highly populated areas. It's big time commute time right now. Tons of cars out on the streets. You got blinding rain and the potential for that tornado. You've got widespread also wind damage with this as well. Haven't had any reports of hail yet, but that could easily develop. This is mainly a wind event with that tornado threat.
New tornado warning coming in for that storm off towards the north.
There's the warning.
That goes till 5 o'clock.
That's that couplet we've been watching. That's what we've been talking about. So it's now finally making its way a little bit closer to land. It's tough to pick out with the radar here, but we're going to look for maybe some little notches here and there. You've got some big wind with this.
This is like the end of August last year, where we had some spin-ups, but radar was having a real tough time at picking it out.
Tricky. Yep. Storm relative show us some good stuff as well. Storm relative velocity. We're just looking at different products, essentially, trying to give you the best idea of what we have going on.
Which is really going to town.
That's that whole line.
There's the bullseye there.
There it is. That's what we're watching. So this one is not confirmed. That's why it's not colored in. You'll have the whole inside kind of shaded in when we get confirmed damage from these tornadoes. That's what this one is. This one right here is it's rolling onshore. You've got some big time wind with that. Big time wind. The damage is there. The debris flying around. The low visibility. Whether it's tornadic or straight line wind damage, you're going to get in on some debris flying around. So this is something we're keeping a very, very close eye on. Phil just said we had 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts at Burke Lakefront Airport. That 80-mile-per-hour wind, that's mixing all the way through. Should weaken a bit as it rolls a little bit farther inland, but there's so much, it's been so humid, there's so much moisture and there's so much fuel, and we broke into some of that heat today. I know it took a little while to get there, but we broke into some of that heat, and that's what's fueling this activity as it's rolling through. All right, so let's zoom out, big picture, show everybody what's going on. We've got those 2 tornado warnings. The yellow you're seeing everywhere, that's a severe thunderstorm watch. That means the ingredients have been in place. The ingredients, everything we need for this to happen it's here. We've been watching that, we've known that, right? The red you're seeing, that's a tornado watch. That will expire. Their threat's going down. That's just a little bit closer where there's a little more spin. So they kind of upgraded that just a little bit more. But that doesn't mean we can't get them here because we are. Now, the flashing orange boxes you're seeing that stretch from the Pennsylvania state line all the way to almost the Indiana state line, almost all of our viewing area from east to west, just not quite south yet, where it's almost 90 degrees, where you have more fuel. So all of this is essentially under a severe thunderstorm warning. Now's the time. Prepare.
Warnings to the south till about 5:30, towards the north over the next 10 or 15 minutes. So the further west, the better off things will be as far as severe weather. We're not looking at a lot of that once we get past the main line. So things are starting to calm down. Still some heavy rain, some frequent lightning, maybe some gusts of wind, but the main focus certainly will be this leading edge over the next hour, hour and a half, and that continues to move further south. So the Guardians in town, probably a little bit of rain once we get into the end of this evening, and a lot of this will sink southward, but kind of slowly, probably in the next 6 to 12 hours before we finally see an end of the rain, right?
I think that front doesn't completely clear all of our southern counties until about 5 or 6 in the morning. That doesn't mean we're going to have tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings until then. That just means we're going to have general downpours and some thunder, right? Some lightning. This will fade away as soon as this energy is used. But Brecksville, Parma now, I think you're okay as far as the tornado threat is concerned. That warning is going to be trimmed up to match up with the actual warning here. But let's go out ahead of it here. Let's put another line, essentially from Richfield up through about Orange and carry that through and time it out all the way through Twinsburg and Hudson. Let's see if our 35-mile-per-hour track will do that. Let me get out of the way here so we can see. But that's what we're going to be watching as we go through here. I want to redraw that. That's
Yep.
going to be
okay. My bad. I was doing that wrong.
But again, that's that line heading towards the southeast at 35 miles per hour. So that's what we're watching. The potential for tornadoes. Here it is. We've got Richfield now. These cities, these areas, Lyndhurst, they say now, right? So we just got another update, so it kind of took those off. You're in it right now. It's too late. If you're not already in your safe spot, you need to get there absolutely now, right? Within the next couple of minutes, you got 5 minutes for Northfield, Center, Pepper Pike as well, Boston as well, Peninsula at about 4:30. Once this gets into the national park, you're going to get some elevation drops and changes, and sometimes that messes with things a little bit, but sometimes it kind of intensifies it. You get some downsloping a little bit into the valley, and you can get some strong wind, and you can get some trees down. We know if you're in the national park, you know trees don't need 60-mile-per-hour winds to come down. We saw them come down a few days ago with 40-mile-per-hour winds, so it's doable. Hudson, Twinsburg, Solon, I want you to be in your safe spot. Zoom in on this. See this little notch right here? Right along that 271.
Just getting a report from the National Weather Service. Been multiple tornado debris signature scans across Valley View.
Yep.
Headed into Bedford in the next few minutes.
That's it. That's it right there. So we're looking for things, the little notches like that. That is a very good indication that we have that rotation, we have that circulation. This is it's a product we have that'll show us where we have the potential for some debris. It's possible. You've got the inflow there, you've got the outflow there. I would not be surprised if that's debris just north of Walton Hills. This is, what is this, Route 8?
That's Route 8. 14 goes through Bedford. Route 8. 271 just to the east.
This is headed toward 271. So.
Yep.
I don't know if any of our producers or anybody in the newsroom is watching this and can move our ODOT cameras around. If you can see any cameras or get us anything on from ODOT on 271 as this approaches through, that's going to give us a really good sign of the timing when this is rolling in. Because again, like I said, the radar is a little bit delayed, but I'm sure the folks in the newsroom right now are getting on that right now. But there's that leading edge right there, that little notch we're looking at. This is starting to gust out. We're going to see some good indications that the rotation is weakening once you get up into this, but it is still some strong wind and some incredibly heavy rain.
This is velocity.
There it is.
My goodness.
That's what we were just looking at, man. It's almost
75-mile-an-hour winds.
That's incredible.
Easily.
So tornado or not, that's still going to produce some damage with that 75-mile-per-hour wind. All right, Phil, I'm going to let you take this for a second here. I'm going to pull up some of those ODOT cameras and see if we can actually pull up a little bit of that and see what we have going on. So,
all right, well, we still have the severe thunderstorm warnings basically from northeast to southwest for the next couple of hours, especially here in Greater Cleveland. We have that tornadic development still with us, slowly making its way south and eastward. So Twinsburg, Reminderville, Oakwood, definitely get to your safe space right now as a lot of this is moving in your direction over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Those folks in Solon to Bedford, towards Sagamore Hills, Boston Heights, Peninsula, looking to be probably the worst of it at the moment, and that will continue to move further south into northern Summit County right now. So anyone driving along 271, give them a call, let them know that there is something coming their way, and it's not going to be a good thing. A lot of this continues to move into the I-271 corridor. So Parma looking to be much better. Westlake quieting down. Downtown Cleveland starting to see some relief, but those folks, especially from I-271 and points south and east into Greater Solon, so 422, 322, it's not going to be a pretty ride.
Yeah, and I just pulled up one of the 271 cameras. If you can pop that up there. We're going to watch this line try to roll on in there. I mean, incredibly heavy rainfall. So the visibility is near zero. You've got the potential for some debris. This is showing kind of what we have going on. This is a little bit delayed because you're going to have some interference. You're going to have some just some issues when you have rain that heavy. And here's our little updates there. I mean, just look at how fast it changes depending on which direction you're looking, right? These are essentially all of our cameras around 271 and 480. The southern edge where they split, right? You've got Route 8 in there, you've got 271, 480. It's all right around that area where everything kind of splits off. You've got some construction around there as well, but you've got some incredibly heavy rain. Man, can you see how heavy that was pushing off towards that bridge there? I mean, just wind-blown rain out there as well. I mean, that's just coming down in sheets right there.
And we do have some indication that rotation is heading towards the Glen Willow, Solon area coming up next. So those areas towards the south and east and through southern Cuyahoga County.
Yeah, zoom in on that. See how close we can get. That's those little inflow. And keep a little bit farther up on this camera here so I can reach it just a little bit here. And we'll show you kind of what we have going on. We're going to just zoom a little bit farther up back to that reflectivity here, and we'll show you where we are. Solon, Bedford, Oakwood, there we go. That's that little notch that we're looking at. So that's when the National Weather Service is talking about some signatures of rotation in there. You get the strong wind coming in the bottom side. It's pulling in some fuel essentially, and that's where you're going to get your rotation right on the northern edge essentially of that rear flanking kind of downdraft is what that is.
And we do have Storm Tracker heading on 90 east.
Let's go. Let's see if we can take it. So you're going to see ponding on the road, splashing from the other sides. So do we know where they are headed, if they're headed to see some damage reports? Have we had any come into the newsroom or anything like that? Let us know as soon as you guys get any damage reports. All of our producers and everybody working in the newsroom kind of help us out with some information out here. But in the meantime, this is what your evening commute looks like, and this is what it's rolling through here. So this is if you're in Oakwood, you're right into some heavy rain and some crazy wind. Bedford, Walton Hills, Northfield. If you're in Valley View, it's calming down, right? You still got some wind, but things are calming down. Garfield Heights, Shaker Heights, Cleveland Heights, things are calming. Parma, less wind, still gusty, but less. This is the focus. That's the big focus. 65, 66, almost 70 mile per hour winds. That will bring trees down.
And looking at some of that up towards Richmond Heights, just north of Mayfield Heights, along I-271, Couple instances of maybe 60 to 65 mile an hour gusts as well. So pretty much everywhere along this line, you're looking at between about 50 and 65, maybe 70 mile per hour winds.
Okay.
At least.
Our director, Mark Boardman, you've got a shot of Fairport Harbor. See if we can check that out. Goodness gracious. Phil, while we're up with this, can you pop the radar in reflectivity in Fairport Harbor so we can show you what it looks like when we go back to it? Look at the waves are already a mess. That windsock right there, that is maxed out, just whipping in the wind. And it's all coming, you notice the direction, coming onshore. That's out ahead of that thunderstorm rolling in. All right, now let's go to the radar, show you where we are. Here is Fairport Harbor is up, just up near like Painesville. You've got it on that little peak right here. Let's jump over to the reflectivity and show you where we are. It doesn't even look like it's really hit the strongest part of that storm, right? So that's what it looks like in an area that's not as strong as what we've been tracking. That kind of puts it into perspective on what we're dealing with. All right, let's go back to the tornado warnings. We'll show you any latest scans. Remember, there's a tornado warning from East Lake all the way through near Strongsville. That's as this is just kind of gusting itself out. On the leading edge, you're going to get these little signatures. Just the radar is going to show you little indentations of it, trying to pull in some drier air, and that's kind of what we're looking for. Man, probably some hail mixed in with that as well, Phil. You see some purples in there. That is some very high reflectivity.
Yeah, Barron Button, right over Bedford. That is looking at least.
So that kind of essentially what that Barron Button will do is
that's showing more rotation rather than hail right now.
What it will do is it'll dive into all the products at once. We don't have to show you 14 things and give us one big indication of what we have going on. It tells us rotation. It tells us the size of the hail, essentially. This is just gusting out. I mean, crazy strong wind on the backside, just pushing that forward. Notice the National Weather Service has not extended that warning because I think a lot of this is just going to be straight line wind damage. May still issue or extend that warning once you get into, like Shalersville, get beyond Hudson and get out of Summit County. But it's something that we're going to keep a very close eye on. Remember, this isn't just a tornado threat. This is a widespread severe thunderstorm warning from Pennsylvania almost to Indiana. As this line rolls into and we can feel it, incredibly warm, incredibly humid air. Look at that warning. All the counties are in that severe thunderstorm warning.
Trent,
Several warnings.
Do have Nadine Abasada in Storm Tracker. We can go to her.
Okay.
See what she's talking about.
Yeah, Nadine, where are you at and what are you seeing?
I want to show you the road. Right now, I mentioned earlier, we're on 90 East again, but I want to show you guys the road. You hear the rain, you feel the wind, and I mean, you see the water on the road. As you can tell, it's a lot of slow-moving traffic. Nobody is powering through this. On the other side of the road, you have a police officer. You can tell right there, that's a downed tree. You guys are talking about how this isn't just about the rain coming down. It's also about the power of those winds. On the side of the road, you see trees uprooted. I'm not just talking about twigs and branches that are broken. I'm talking about roots uprooted from the ground because of the power of this wind. On the other side of the road, I mean, just take a look. Look at the water coming off of the road. Slow moving traffic. Obviously, this is also traffic hour, but then add a storm on top of that and there's your alerts. That's what everybody is hearing on their phones, because it is a severe weather situation that we're talking about. It is not something to take lightly, and if you're on the road, you want to make sure you proceed with caution. But everything you're talking about, we're experiencing it. Earlier, we went near the underpass by Superior. There had to be at least an inch of water on the road. Everybody had to slow down because that's not something you want to be driving through. But come back to us. We're going to keep you updated on the conditions. Once you go through the storm, it smooths out. I mean, if you take a listen, the rain has lightened, but then there's still that water on the road. But come back to us, we'll show you what these conditions look like. We're still heading east. We just passed up, I want to say this is near the Opportunity Corridor, and we'll update you guys. I'm going to sit back in the studio.
And Nadine, we were talking about an hour and a half ago, so it was about 3 o'clock. You were working on another story, and you said, what did you ask me? Am I going to be
I said, oh, what about Blossom?
You asked if you were going to be in Storm Tracker later on this afternoon. And I said, most likely.
Oh, no, that's very true, actually, yes. I said, you know, am I going to be in storm tracker? You said, I don't know, we'll see, we'll see. And lo and behold, the newsroom, the alerts went off. I said, all right, go ahead and put me in storm tracker. Because look, we talk about severe weather, we talk about the rain, but like, this is what you're dealing with. We got to show people what it looks like outside and why you got to proceed with caution, because the wind, the rain, it's not something to joke about. It has serious impacts. As I mentioned earlier, I saw trees uprooted. I mean, debris, you mentioned it. You're gonna see a lot of it, and it's still happening.
Yeah, and it's going to happen until this whole line rolls through. Nadine, thank you so much. Be safe out there. Be careful. Make sure you guys are watching for debris flying around. I know you guys are going to turn around and...
I lost IFB Trent, so if you are talking to me, come back to me.
All right.
Again, signal, we're going in and out. I lost it, but got it.
She'll be safe. We're for sure. It's not her first rodeo, that's for sure. So back to the radar. This is where we are. We're talking about this tornado warning. I was talking about, Phil and I were saying, they could easily issue this and extend this out. Not the southern edge, but they did and include parts of Manaway. Just north of Manaway, you've got Aurora, you've got Burton, Hiram Rapids, Hyrid. You got the upper Cuyahoga River in here. Trees are probably going to be coming down. I know they come down all the time anytime we get a strong wind like this. So we've got the severe thunderstorm warning in effect area-wide just about, but Portage County, you're under the tornado warning until 5:15, so another 45 minutes until this rolls through here. So this is the line. And the problem is with this line is it's showing signs that it's sort of gusting out.
We have a destructive severe thunderstorm warning, Trent.
There it is. So the debris is confirmed essentially. So that means we've got, let's zoom in right there near Bainbridge. I think that's probably just now. Pop the velocity on and see. There's our next little scan. So those little notches in there.
Up here.
What we're looking at. There's another, just near Fowler's Mill, Fullertown, north of Russell Center.
Just south of Chardon, Route 6, and winds probably at least 60 to 65.
Okay, so between 322 and 6, right through Cuyahoga County, just south of Chardon. All right, zoom out a little bit. Let's get a whole view of this. We've got the tornado warnings that does include Parkman. If you're anywhere, essentially, let's zoom in on the tornado warnings here. This is what we're looking at. If you're in these pink boxes, I want you to get to your safe spot. If you're in Burton, I know you're not directly in it right now, but I want you to get in your safe spot now. If you're in Chardon, I know you're on the northern edge, but you're still going to have some incredibly strong wind. You're still going to have some incredibly heavy rain, and the debris is still potentially going to be there because you're still in that warning. I want you to get inside, away from windows is the lowest low. If you have a basement, get there. If you don't, a bathroom, a closet somewhere on the first floor. South Russell, Auburn Center, it's on your doorstep right now. Silo, Hiram as well. I know you're a half a county away, but I want you to get to that safe spot. It's easy to do. Take your phone, follow us on Facebook, watch our live stream right there. Bring up news5cleveland.com. Or if you don't want to do that, turn the volume up on your TV. Get to where you're going, blast the speakers, blast the volume up, and you can hear us still talking about it. And listen for your town. We're mentioning all these cities. We're mentioning all these areas. And we're letting you know when this coast is clear. Backside of this, Solon, your tornado threat is over, but your wind is still strong and weakening. Cleveland, downtown Cleveland, it blew through. We showed you that. It's clearing. It's now calming down. Euclid, you're on the back edge. Mayfield Heights are on the back edge. Solon, Reminderville, Auburn Center. When we start talking about destructive tornado warnings,
we've got some reports coming out of North Olmsted. Telephone poles down, multiple cars with wires on top, occupants entrapped. And we also have out of Brook Park, south of Holland, east of Smith, house with partial roof removed, completely detached garage collapsed.
Partial roof removed.
And Hilliard Road, wires down on multiple cars.
All right. So this is a picture of Westlake, Phil, right here. It just popped up there. So trees uprooted, like Nadine was telling us, and you're talking about wires down on cars.
With occupants.
With occupants inside. If that ever happens to you, stay in your car. It's called a Faraday cage. It makes that charge go around you. That's the safest thing. The injuries always happen if you try to get out. Stay in your car, call for help. Try to wait for somebody to make sure that power is off before they get you out. Just stay in your car.
We also have reports out of Willoughby Hills. Just reported they lost their roof at the station firehouse.
Goodness, okay. All right, so that's as this was rolling through here. Remember, we were talking about those 80-mile-per-hour winds at Burke. Those probably rolled right up and are all along the lake shore. So it takes a lot of wind to get a roof off of your house. So that's what we're going to be dealing with is the damage reports coming in now. So it's some things that we're going to have to keep a very Very close eye.
Branches coming down around I-90 in Detroit between about 3 and 4 inches in diameter.
Branches 3 and 4 inches?
Around Detroit and I-90.
So that's where we were showing you that camera earlier.
Yep.
That's Westlake. That's those are big branches coming through here. So you're imagining that. That's what this is, the history of this right here. So what I'm talking about with this line rolling through, and the reason there's confirmed and destructive tornado warnings we're going through right now is because of all the damage that this storm caused as it raced across parts of Lorain and Cuyahoga County.
Let's go back over the last 3 hours here.
Yeah, watch that line. This is where we started. This is actually right about here is where we broke in and told you the first time this is what we're watching. We'll let you know when it gets closer, right? And then we broke in and showed you that as it rolled all the way through. So yeah, this is what we're talking about. This storm has a history of producing damage. Roofs blowing off houses, power lines down, power lines laying on cars, and there's more of it. Let's get in on it. We've got these lines all the way stretching across the entire viewing area, and that's for typical severe thunderstorm warning. I say typical, you're still getting winds of 60 miles per hour. You're still getting trees down. You're still getting that huge impact widespread with the heavy rain and frequent lightning. But the reason we're getting a lot of this damage that rolled through just near Cleveland, the suburbs on the west side, south side, and then now on the east side is because of that gust. How it's gusting out right there? That right there, that's producing some tornado damage and potentially producing some tornadoes. That's near Chardon. I told you I want you to get in your safe spot if you're in Chardon. Menor, that includes you, Perry as well. Even though you're not under that tornado warning, I want you to get to your safe spot. Anywhere south through Twinsburg, Manaway, Hiram, Burton, get to your safe spot. Turn the volume up, listen to us. We'll let you know when the coast is clear because straight line winds, tornadic winds or twisting winds essentially, it can all create damage. It can all bring down trees. It can take roofs off of the firehouse we saw in Willoughby Hills. We're getting reports of damage widespread. So this is why we do this. This is why we're telling you.
We have some pictures and video of some damage. Pictures out of Westlake.
Okay.
If we could take that, showing some fairly big branches starting to snap.
And the reason we're showing you this now is because that's what's potentially coming for Manaway. What's coming for areas out ahead of this thunderstorm. So look at the size of that, just snapped right off. That tree's been there a while. That tree has been there a long while, so snapped right off. Incredible amounts of damage with this.
And we also have video right here at the station just over the last half hour. So the rain just coming down in sheets here at Euclid and East 30th.
We haven't really talked much about the flood threat, but every time we get downpours like this, especially downtown during the commute, you know those areas that collect water, those drains get clogged, they get plugged up, and they tend to lend themselves to, flooded areas. So remember, never drive through flood-prone areas or flooded areas. Just know that it's not just, it's everybody. We're all dealing with it, right? So back in on it, the tornado warning. Let's go here. It is 4:42. We've got this tornado warning in effect for another 30 minutes. It takes us through Portage County. Let's see if we can zoom in on it and show you exactly where it is. Let's see if we can get close, and we'll try to find where the actual, there it is, just near Burton. Let's get in on it. See these little notches in here? Those are big indications that that's kind of pulling in some air. Not showing a whole lot, but
it is broadening.
There's your near Beartown. Just through Bainbridge, you've got, what is this, Route 422. You've got, this is Route 44, I think, that heads north through Burton. So some big-time thunderstorms with this, some big-time wind-producing thunderstorms. And these bursts, ooh, look at that. Just zoom in on some of that. Near Bath, also near all these pinks we're seeing here, those are straight-line winds. Over 60-mile-per-hour winds with that, over 60, just south of Aurora. So even though you may not be in the tornado warning, we're still talking about some big-time wind, some big-time trees coming down. All these little pockets, all these little bursts, they can all produce damage, and they all are producing damage and knocking down trees. Look how broad through Summit County. That's through the national park. Fairlawn, all the way up through like Bath, Ira, Richfield. You got the national park in here. Cuyahoga Falls. This is all going to be trees down in a lot of areas, widespread with a line like that that rolls through. So this is something that we got to keep a very close eye on. Again, these are severe thunderstorm warnings to the south where that is. That's straight line wind damage. These are tornado warnings in parts of, well, now Cuyahoga County, I think, is pretty much out of it. We're going to watch.
Yeah, Cuyahoga County has been canceled over the last few minutes.
Okay.
And the one in Cuyahoga County still continues till about 5:15, but there is indication that it is weakening.
Okay, that portion right there. And when we say weakening, it just means that the rotation with that is broadening a little bit. It's still going to be some strong winds. All right, Nadine is still out in Storm Tracker. She is riding around, and she was talking about uprooted trees in a lot of areas. Where are you at right now, Nadine? What are you seeing?
Well, right now we're heading towards 271 South. Earlier, again, we were in a situation where, again, I mentioned about an inch of water on the road. You saw traffic slow down, and then it goes back to normal. But it's funny, Trent, I brought it up to you about Blossom, and I asked earlier also, will people still be able to go to the concert? Will the storm completely go through? What they're telling people right now is to stay in their car as that storm goes through. Now, the show was supposed to be at 7:30 with Hosier, but people are just sitting in their cars waiting for the storm to pass. But I want you to take a look again at the road. When I showed it to you earlier, it was calming down, but again, the rain, the wind, it's picking up. You can even hear it. You hear the rain hitting the window. You hear the wind coming through. In this area, I don't see as many uprooted trees as I saw earlier on 90 near Edgewater. But we're heading towards Willoughby Hills. We're going to keep you posted. But as I mentioned, Blossom, people are told to stay in their cars. They have not canceled the show tonight at 7:30 for Hosier, but for right now, they're telling people stay in their cars until the storm passes through.
Yeah, and I know the opener,
Trent?
I think, is at 6 o'clock, Nadine, so just stay in your cars. This will blow through. That's an hour, two and a half hours away. So stay in your cars, and that's honestly good advice for most situations like this. If you've got power lines on your car, you want to stay in your car. If there's tornadoes around, I know we used to always talk about getting out of your car and finding a ditch or something. If you can find a sturdy structure, a gas station, a Walmart, a store, a something, a restaurant, a fast food area, a house, then yes, get in that. But if you can't find anything, there's nothing around, stay in your car. Latest research.
And do not get under the overpass.
Yeah.
That is mistake number one.
Yeah, latest research out of Kent State actually shows that it's safer inside the cars with seatbelts, airbags, reinforced windows, shatterproof windows, and everything. That's old science that told us to get out of the car, so stay in them. All right, here it is, leading edge. Let's get back into this. This tornado warning, I would not be surprised if we see some more damage with it, but Phil, if you agree, this is looking less and less like a tornadic kind of situation, but more or less just a straight line wind damage event with the potential for maybe a brief spin up on some of these little notches that we're going to keep a very close eye on. We're looking at velocity, we're looking at storm relative velocity, we're looking at all of our products, and we're kind of showing the story, and we've been tracking this since it came on shore in Lorain County. So watching this roll on into some super warm and, well, humid air, fueling all of this. All right, and I want you to think we're forgetting about the rest of the area. Phil, you want to talk about some of the severe thunderstorm warnings that stretch all the way back to the west?
Yeah, we've got all those severe thunderstorm warnings, which still include Ashtabula down into Trumbull County, Summit County, down towards Wayne, Ashland, and Richland County, and all of those go to about 5:30, so another 45 to maybe even an hour as this line continues to move further southward, and a lot of these are containing some gusty winds. Still cannot rule out a couple instances of some large hail, quarter to maybe $half size a possibility. I haven't seen any reports of hail so far, so that is some good news. But these winds are packing a punch for sure. A lot of 50 to 60, 70+ mile per hour winds reported in a few locations, especially the further east of Greater Cleveland. And the line continues to move through basically Lake Cuyahoga down towards Trumbull County, and as well as into Summit County, and that continues to provide a lot more of those dangerous winds that are slowly slicing through the region between about 60 and 70 mile per hour winds. So that is going to be the main focal point. I think the tornadic threat is starting to lessen, thankfully. Those folks in Greater Cleveland, you're out of the woods as far as anything tornadic, thankfully, but still that severe thunderstorm warning for about another half hour continues, especially in the further eastern half of the county. Akron, you're looking at a lot of that potential for some strong damaging winds, especially around Cuyahoga Falls into downtown Akron, towards the southern half around Greene in the next half hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah, look at that line right there. And then Rob's just coming over here. He's got some information for us. What do you...
I'm just looking at current power outages.
Okay.
Cuyahoga County, 33,000. Lorain County, 46,000.
Okay, so almost 100,000 people out of power right now in just two counties, Cuyahoga and Lorain, and that's where
Correct.
this tornado was rolling through.
You got it.
Okay, all right. So, and we've got,
going.
I'm getting texts like crazy from everybody talking about roofs coming off apartments in like Fairview Park. We said earlier where a roof came off of the firehouse in Willoughby Hills. That's as this line continues to roll on through here. So, Phil and I have been watching this all afternoon, talking about the forecast and just talking about how if this ends up shaping up the way it could shape up, this is what we're getting into.
And that tornado warning continues for Cuyahoga and Portage counties until 5:15. Still some rotation indicated with the National Weather Service. So there's still the warning, still the danger in place for something tornadic, especially around the 13 miles north of Ravenna, moving towards the east at 40. So a little bit further south into, let's see.
Trying to show some signs of it. See how narrow it's getting also? It's not quite as robust as it was, about even 30 minutes ago. So we're looking for little kind of notches on the leading edge. That's where it's going to be pulling in air, and then you're going to get a little bit of that gust on the backside of it. Not showing as much as it was earlier, but there's still the potential, even if there's no tornado, there's still some straight line winds, incredibly strong winds. We've been showing you winds of 80 mile per hour reported. That's an observation at Burke Lakefront Airport, so we knew that was coming on shore. Plus, we've had 60 to 70 mile per hour radar indicated winds. I've got tons of text messages. My phone's been vibrating like crazy. I was just kind of reading some of them. Reports all around the area of roofs, trees, power lines. I mean, damage widespread. So here's what we're dealing with. This is a widespread swath of incredibly heavy rain through Lake and Cuyahoga County, pushing into Ashtabula counties as well. So this, as it broadens out, we're still going to get some strong winds with that as it spreads through on the leading edge, some incredibly heavy rain, so the flood threat is there. As we stretch down, you've got a little bit of mixing in with this. If we go back over here, we get towards there we go. We got a little bit of a kind of a back and forth with the wind, and that's why we're getting the potential or some reports of tornadic thunderstorms with that as well. That's on the leading edge as well. Stretching back down through Summit County into the Akron, Bainbridge area. It doesn't look as impressive, right? There's still some heavy rain, and there's still some pretty strong wind gusts in there. But as you can see, it looks like Medina's out of this area. You can see parts of Wellington, Sullivan. We're going to watch this try to roll through as well. Some heavier rain near the Avon area, in Westlake area, where we had tons of reports of trees down and power outages. And we're just going to watch this as it all just kind of unfolds. This gust front right there, that's that light green you're seeing pushing into Dalton. If you live in Dalton, you may just have a couple little sprinkles, but you're going to notice the wind start to pick up. You're going to get a breeze out there. And those thunderstorms, those stronger storms, try to built in on the backside of it. All right, we've got some live video out there. Rob, what do you have for us?
We're going to go live. This Andy Sugden is shooting this for us right now. It's East Boulevard in Euclid, across the street from Severance Music Center right now. So University Circle area. Look at that flooding. Holy cow.
So we say turn around, don't drown all the time. The way cars are, I know growing up, cars weren't as electronic as they are now. I'm telling you what, it doesn't take much. Now, that doesn't look like it's flowing fast, but once you get that water up into the grill and it splashes, that car took off, got a little speed on it. That one right there might get a little bit close to getting the liquid, getting that water up into that engine compartment. It stalls out, and there's nothing you can do about it. Somebody has to come out and kind of rescue you. Right there, it only looks like about 6 inches deep, but you never know the structure, the strength of the concrete, of the asphalt, of the road underneath it. We've seen it so many times over and over again. Those sinkholes around those flood areas, you get those big time issues. It gives
I didn't see any rain there, though, right?
It was there. So
it was there?
It was there. The rain?
Yeah.
It was there, so it's just pushing through there. It's just the runoff from all of this. Right there in that area, there you go. About an inch of rain rolled through there. So like I've been telling you, the big story is going to be the wind damage with this. But, I mean, we're going to shift our focus off towards rain here, that's for sure. That's Lake and Cuyahoga pushing into Ashtabula counties. That, Paynesville, Chardon, some big-time rain. I know I've still got, you see this pink box in there, that pink polygon? That's a tornado warning. That will probably expire. I'm not seeing a whole lot with that. If we can jump over to our velocity, and we'll kind of see where we are. This is where it's sort of rolling in. Yeah, it's not necessarily in a good spot for the radar, but it is showing us where some brighter colors are there near Burton Lake, just north of Auburn Centers. Still going to have some gusts in there. Still going to have some gusts where those brighter colors are that could be around 60 miles per hour. There's Ashtabula. Bright blue up there. So heavy rain and strong wind as that heavy rain is pushing in. Remember I was showing you heavy rain right on the lines essentially? That's pushing in. So that's going to be some strong wind trying to mix in there. A lot of times with this, when this activity we get, a lot of those little brief spin-ups and those bursts of wind can happen when like this line and this line are trying to sort of merge together. So at the interaction of couple boundaries can create those wind damage reports.
We've got some video now out of Rocky River, Our Lady of Angels. Some trees definitely toppled over.
I mean, we're talking about...
Those are 4, 5, 6 inch in diameter trees.
We're talking dozens, if not over 100 trees,
easily.
branches.
And power lines just as much.
Almost 100,000 people in Lorain and Cuyahoga County out of power. Man, and it's not done yet. It's not done yet. Again, all these reports, if you have reports and you can safely take them, if you're behind the storm and the warnings have expired where you are, for sure. Nothing with power lines, of course, be extremely safe. Nothing with flooding. I don't want you to get in any danger, put yourself in any danger. But if you have trees down, take a picture of it, take a quick video of it, send it to us, tweet it to us, Facebook, Instagram. Just send it to us and we can get that information out because we're trying to spread the word essentially. We're trying to spread the word of what's happening with all this activity. Honestly, this doesn't look... Phil, is there any wind with this back near Richland, Ashland, Wayne counties? Not seeing a whole bunch of activity with that.
Akron's probably the worst of the wind right now, probably just some heavy rain towards Ashland into Mansfield, but still lightning is going to be a big concern regardless. So if you're out and about, make sure you at least have some plan to be inside. The majority of the strongest winds look to be towards the east from Greene all the way up to Mesopotamia, even into Ashtabula County, starting to see some stronger wind gusts returning.
There's that flood advisory we were just talking about for Cuyahoga County, all of Cuyahoga County. I can't really tell where it
goes all the way to about I-271, northeastern parts of Summit County, and basically all of Lake Cuyahoga and most of Portage County under that advisory for the next several hours.
Looks like it might include or eventually include parts of Ashtabula County as well. So big time rain, it's got to find some place to go. I'm going to hold with you guys. Again, I'm not trying to forget about what's going on just to the west of Akron. I just don't think those storms are quite as strong. Yes, heavy rain, gusty winds, and a lot of lightning. Of course, right? There's still warnings, and we're still watching in case things get stronger, but we're focusing a lot on this tornado warning because of things like near Shalersville. You see that right around the turnpike? That pink, that bright color there? These storms are just kind of gusting, and at times they can produce some tornadic, some brief spin-ups, you know? That's a 70-mile-per-hour wind gust just north of Freedom Station. You had a tornado a few months ago, so you know what the wind can do, right? Mark Johnson was tracking that out from beginning to end, and we're tracking it over the same areas. Not tornadic, but straight-line wind damage is a big concern with this. Again, that warning is in effect. It does include Auburn Center. It does include Parkman, Nelson, Hiram, from Manaway north on 44 to about Burton, and then over to the county line near Mesopotamia. So anybody in this area, I really want you to pay very close attention to what's going on. You've got the potential for damage. I want you to get inside if you're not already. I'm sure most of you are if you're listening to this. If you're in a car, stay in the car. If you can, if you're in a store and need to get from point A to point B, wait it out. Just wait it out. This will roll through. Nadine was talking about Blossom. Just wait it out. This will pull out of here, and things are much calmer on the backside. There's still some rain, but it's not damaging rain.
We do have some power outage updates. Over 100,000 here in Cuyahoga County, and nearly 50,000 in Lorain County without power as of right now.
So that went from just under 100,000 to 150,000, and that's a lot of power outages, and more will come in. That's kind of how this happens. They trickle in for sure.
We do have a graphic, I believe.
Yeah, let's see it.
First Energy. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we're looking at. These are our power outages, and you can see the numbers are just impressive. Trees come down, power lines lay down, and you just got to wait for the storm to pass because those crews can't get out in this wind. You got to wait for the wind to die down, and then they can get out into that activity. You're seeing the red circles on there. That's over 1,500 customers out. You're seeing some of the blue is, those are just reports, right? But those yellow, kind of the equal signs, that's 500 to 1,500 people on each one of those little markers there. The star is 100 to 500, and then I'm not seeing a whole lot of the green boxes, but there's a few in there, right? Dozens of people. I'm talking about over 100,000 customers, 163, 289, so 150,000 customers plus getting out of there, getting out of that power. So that will come back on. Just give it some time. This storm rolls through here pretty quickly, and things are going to start to improve. All right, so the tornado warning, let's see here. This is expiring shortly, right? It's really fading away. It may even be canceled a little bit ahead of time.
And then the one along 422, next 15 minutes.
Yeah, so this one we're going to keep a very close eye on. Let's see if we can zoom in. I've got some heavy rain near Shalersville, but that right near Parkman, that's kind of what we're going to watch. We're going to watch for some brighter colors worked in there. Not showing, honestly, it's not showing a whole lot of rotation with. I'm going to be honest with you. It doesn't really show much. Let's jump back to reflectivity and see if we can see any inflow with that. Maybe
south of Nelson, maybe.
Yeah, some weakening in there. Kind of it's surrounded by some heavier returns, right? So you get a little weaker area in there. There's
the latest scan
near Nelson that sometimes shows us what we have. There you go. There's that inflow on it. So those little notches are something that we really look at when we're talking about these embedded tornadoes. It's not going to be something you see. I know you see on TV these textbook tornadoes. It'll be rain wrapped if anything, and it'll be brief if anything. So it's something that we got to keep a very close eye on. That's extremely, extremely dangerous. All right, so if you're Sandusky, Avon, anybody along the lakeshore, all the way up to about Cleveland, your severe storm threat right now is over. We'll watch this over the lake. But a lot of this energy is being used, so I wouldn't expect that to get too crazy. It's more or less just watching these storms slowly creep from west to east and eventually pull on out of here.
Trent, we do have to start off our 5 o'clock newscast.
Okay, so we got to go to the desk right now with that, or? Okay, so we're going to start off your 5 o'clock newscast right here on News 5 with a shelf cloud, a crazy looking view right
out
now.
of one of the Cleveland Clinic buildings here in Cleveland.
Okay, well, let's just keep talking about what we have going with this picture right here. This is, where is this, Phil?
One of the Cleveland Clinic buildings here in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that's that shelf cloud coming in. That's as that storm was first rolling in. Looks pretty ominous, right?
Definitely
ominous. All right, let's jump back to the key here, and we'll show you where we are right now. This is the heaviest stuff near Burton. Again, that warning, that tornado warning is expired, except for this one right here. You've got Burton Lake, you've got Mesopotamia, you've got Parkman, all the way down through Nelson, Garrettsville. Honestly, I think the tornado threat with this is pretty much over. Still some strong straight line winds, but I'm going to send you back to the desk in a minute here. I'm going to check the velocity really quickly here and see where we are. See if there's any more threat for damaging wind. There's
some damaging winds south.
Yeah. Let's stay with it. If we can hold off on some of the news coverage for a minute here and just keep a close eye on some of these, keep an eye on some of these brighter areas where we have some of that stronger wind. Let's kind of venture south. There's 64-mile-per-hour winds. I think there was a little bit south of Sugarbush Knolls as well. Just once we get into
just south of Ravenna, around Rootstown,
Suffield. Uniontown, just north of Uniontown. So those little clusters, those little peaks like that, it's all it takes. That's 60+ mile-per-hour winds. So 60, 65. We had the areas reports of almost 70 a little bit ago. So we've got that wind damage out there, and we're going to keep a very close eye on this as it rolls on through here. That stretches all the way down through Hartville. Eventually, we're going to keep an eye on this as it rolls through here. I don't know who's in the control room right now, but I'm still hearing you talking in the IFB here. So there we go. Thank you. All right, so there it is. This is what we're talking about. That's where it's kind of distracting. But this is the tornado warning. These are the severe thunderstorm warnings. This is not a tornadic portion of the storm. It's straight line wind damage. And this right here is where we still have that potential for maybe some rotation with it. But honestly, Phil, I think that's kind of fading away.
Yeah, we haven't had a confirmed tornado warning with this right now, which was good news. Just some radar indication of some rotation. The only confirmed tornado we've had right now moved through parts of Cuyahoga County, southeastern parts especially, and hopefully that was it as far as anything tornadic across northeast Ohio. But so that warning in play for about the next 10 minutes, and we'll continue to monitor that situation as it does continue to move further eastward. We do have a lot of flooding now coming in from some reports. State Route 44 just south of 322 measured about 8 inches. Munson Township around Cuyahoga County And we are looking at some power outages certainly increasing, as we mentioned earlier, about 100,000 here in Greater Cleveland, about 50,000 in Lorain County, and I'm certain there's probably going to be more of those unfortunate reports coming in over the next few hours from Cuyahoga, Lake, and Portage County for the next few hours, as well as a lot of these storms continue to move through those areas, packing certainly a punch with 60 to nearly 70 mile per hour gusts. So we're not done just yet.
And as that continues to roll through, we're still going to have those issues, right? We're still going to have the potential for more power outages. Again, that tornado warning will expire in about 10 minutes here, but it's really kind of moving itself out of the actual warning area. So honestly, I think that's pretty much over. It's more or less just this area moving into Palmyra, from Akron all the way up through Parkman. That's going to be a big focus for the potential for some more damage. Ashland over to Worcester, we've still got some of that, some of the potential for some damaging wind gusts. Now, south of Lodi, you got the I-71 corridor in there. Something that we got to keep a very close eye on, essentially what we have going on here. So Ashland all the way through Worcester as this slowly creeps farther and farther south. And this may eventually turn into a kind of a heavy rain event. We've got some of that concern, the potential in there with, if you can put this into motion for the last hour, Phil, we're going to see really what we have going on. Watch it just developing right along that gust front as expected. We were telling you about that, how it's going to be what sparks some more, but it just kind of rains over the same areas. The main motion with this is from west to east. So even though our wind threat is diminishing, our flood threat will be elevating pretty quickly as we get into the evening hours. You've got aerial flood advisories back to the west.
And we're not done with the rain just yet. More of these showers and storms. Not a lot of severe potential, thankfully, lingering this evening, but the rain still with us. Some lightning, some heavy downpours a possibility. So just because you're not necessarily under a warning doesn't mean you're all done with the rain just yet.
Yeah, this will be we'll be tracking thunderstorms probably until about 5 or 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
At least, and then things finally quiet down across the area. Most of those storms will be south late tonight, but still some rain chances here in Greater Cleveland. So if you're heading down to the ballpark, hopefully we'll get that game in, but there could be some delays.
You got a lot going on. You've got, Blossom, big concert. You've got the ball, you got the Guardians, you got everything going on, right? So this is what it is. This is our main focus. Again, there's some heavy rain just in Wayne County, parts of northern Ashland County as well, Richland and Ashland counties.
And that tornado warning just expired, Trent.
There we go,
just
as
expired.
expected.
Yep.
So they canceled it beforehand as expected, as we were talking about. So with that being said, the tornado threat is wrapping up. The